Oh, good day, everybody. Today we're reading the Bible in the year 2021, day 66. And we're looking at numbers 28 to 30. And this will probably be the shortest recording in the entire series because we have some repetition stuff going on here. And I don't see the sense of prolonging it with you since we've already covered a number of these things. But let's just touch on a couple of stuff here. We need to understand what's going on. Um, Moses knows that his time is up. He's not going into the promised land. Aaron, sorry, not Aaron. Joshua is being selected as his replacement. Well, at least as a new leader. Nobody will ever replace Moses, but Joshua will be a different sort of leader, but he will be the leader. He'll be a strong leader that will lead Israel through the whole process of possessing the promise. Um, so now we have, for lack of a better word, well, let's call it a review. We have a review that's about to take place, and in this review, they're going highlighting the important things. So, like we see here in the first couple verses of chapter 28, the Lord spoke to Moses, command the Israelites and say to them, make sure, because Moses is going to be gone, okay? Aaron is gone. So this is a new generation. Everything now. Okay, the old guys on the block are Joshua and Caleb. They're the only ones who made it through because they were the faithful spies. Um, Caleb is continuing to be the leader of his family. Joshua is now going to be the leader of the nation, and Eleazar is the high priest because Aaron's gone. So now it's the new kids on the block. And Yahweh just wants to make sure that they are going to carry on with these instructions. This is a very important moment as that torch is being passed on. And so the Lord spoke to Moses, command the Israelites and say to them, make sure to offer to me my offering, my food gift as a soothing smell to me at its appointed time. Now, the thing that we're not going to go over is the whole list of things that they have to remember, all of the feasts that they have to remember, the various sacrifices that they have to remember, because we've covered all of that. I've taken the time to read through it again. I encourage you, if you haven't done the reading yet, to go ahead and read it through. There's something that could really stand up for you. But for the purpose of this year's reading, as we go through this, I don't think we need to rehash these ceremonies and stuff. As long as you remember that these are remembering ceremonies, these are feasts to remind people of the great things that their ancestors have gone through, that Yahweh has brought them through. So we're actually going to skip over chapter 29 as well because it's more of the same, and we're going to pick up just on a couple of things here, just a couple of slides of Numbers 30. And you're already thinking about, oh boy, what am I going to do with all the time that I save? No, just kidding. So Numbers chapter 30, verse 1 to 2. Um, there's something very important that's being stressed here. See, Yahweh is a keeper of his word. We've seen that. We've seen all the effort that he goes through to make sure that he keeps his word. There isn't a promise that he fails to follow through on. He is a keeper of his promise, and his people must be as well. Moses spoke to the leaders of the tribes of the Israelites. This is what the Lord has commanded. When a man makes a solemn promise to the Lord, or swears a solemn pledge, a binding obligation for himself, he cannot break his word. He cannot break his word. He must do everything he said. Now, listen, anybody can break the word, but if you want to be considered as belonging to Yahweh, you keep your word. If you want to be included in this nation is a keeper of their word. And you realize how important this is later on when Joshua ends up making an agreement with a people. He didn't really check into it, and he makes an agreement with a people that they were supposed to kill. But because he made that agreement, he can't go back on it. Yes, the Lord's first command was that these people had to be killed, but Joshua gave the word of this nation, and now I mean, there's consequences down the road, but they had to hold that word. And in fact, they were put to the test right away because those people came under attack from the surrounding people who were jealous that they had made this agreement. And Joshua had to come to their rescue. That's how strong the word was. That's how important, that's what we're stressing here. That's how important this is, that he actually came to defend those that he was supposed to wipe out because he had entered into an agreement with them. That's how strong it is. Now we know that Jesus, he compared to making oaths to idolatry. We'll deal with that many months down the road when we come to it. But I just want to remind you that that's what he said, that oaths belong to that place of idolatry, and he said simply let your yes be yes and your no no. And we talked about this recently because we've been doing it as the Constitution, Kingdom Constitution, and we understand that you know you only you only get people to make pledges and oaths when you yourself know that your word's not very good. You don't trust other people because you know yourself you've lied. You know yourself that you've broken your word. So because you've broken your word, you turn around and don't trust anybody else to keep their word. Yeah. Now, I mean, there's more to it than that. You could have had an experience in the past where somebody broke their word. You're a keeper of your word, but somebody has, yeah, you know what I mean. It's but let your yes be yes and your no no. So like keeping your promise, people, doing what you say you're going to do. Do we actually go to the end of that? Do we, no matter what it costs us, do we keep that promise? In my first church, there was an elder who had been a former pastor, actually, of the church, and when she was the pastor there, she um, uh, she bought a whole bunch of chairs, and everybody was supposed to have made pledges for purchasing those chairs, but a number of people fell through. And do you know, she took that as her failure of leadership, and she paid off bit by bit, bit by bit, by bit. It took her years and years and years, but she paid for all those chairs. She was a keeper of her word. Just an amazing lady, well respected, because people knew that when she said she was going to do something, she would do it. Can that be said of us? Because that's what can be said of our Father. That is what can be said of our Father. Can that be said of us? Hmm. Okay, and just the last thing here. Um, there's something that happens here in verses 3 to 4. Um, we see that the men are being told that they have to keep their solemn promises, their oaths, and they have to keep their word. But we see here that women are treated differently. They're different from men. When a woman makes a solemn promise to the Lord or a binding obligation while she is young and in her father's household, and her father hears her solemn promise or her binding obligation for herself and keeps silent, then all her solemn promises and any of her binding obligations for herself will stand. And it goes on and talks about when she's married that her husband can release her as well, can break that promise in the first day. If he lets it go past the first day, then it's binding. It's done. And I don't know. I look at that. I question this, and why? And I know we often talk about the cultural things, but this is a command from the Lord, and I'm wondering if there if this is a means of protection. Maybe we don't fully understand it, but is this a means of protection because of the vulnerability of where women are in the culture, of how women are being treated at this time. Because remember, Israel, or women were like equal from the beginning. Children, they had different roles from men, but were partners in everything that the men were doing. So much so that Jacob actually went to his wives and asked them to come with him when he left. They're his wife. He didn't go in and boss them. He asked them to come with him. So we're there, but we're talking about hundreds of years later, right? We're talking about um, more than 400 years later. What has changed? They were in a different environment in Egypt. What effect did that culture have on them? They were in slavery. What effect did that have on them? And is this just a way of Yahweh making sure that they're not taken advantage of? They're not pressured into something, that they have a fallback. um, because men at this time would have been physically strong, uh, much more than somebody like me. They've got labor work that they're doing. Um, it wouldn't take much for a man to harm a woman. So is this a way that there was protection for them? I don't know. Yeah, I'm just looking at this, and everything I see from Yahweh, he has reason for it. He has reason why he puts these things into place, and we may not understand it right here at this place, but I see how Jesus treated women. I see how Jesus lifted women. I see how a lot of the stories, a lot of the miracles are focused around women. I see how he confronted Pharisees in their treatment of women. So like, there's no way. This is Jesus revealing Father's heart, and women are not of lesser status. They're not of lesser stature at all. We are partners in these things, and go back and look at Adam and Eve. If you want to see what his model is, he gave Adam uh, a partner who equals him. Not and we can get into all the language and whatever you want, but the whole idea was, it wasn't side by side, it was like face to face, because they had different strengths and they completed each other, and together they were the masculine expression of God and the feminine expression of God. Together there was a fullness. And that's why in everything that we do, we need to make sure that we have that expression of the masculine and feminine, and not one more domineering than the other. Not Don't let the pendulum swing. There has to be a coming together, a good mixture of this. But then I'm going off on a soapbox, so I am sorry. Just there's things here that should be explored, and just don't take it as a male chauvinist thing, but try to understand the heart of the Father in this, because He put in place things to protect people who needed protection. And we see that written all the way through the law. Okay, well, that's it for today. You guys be blessed, be encouraged, continue pressing in to discover Father's heart. I pray you'll have an excellent day. And if you've already had an excellent day, then I pray that you'll have an excellent sleep tonight. And thank you so much for being on this journey with me. God bless.